So we're going without that today. And in fact, the practice of mine, I don't know what everybody else does, but after I get the lesson together, I enjoy going through it a couple times to kind of rehearse a little bit, make sure my thoughts are logical and flowing from one to the next, and that everything is cohesive. I did that today about 4 or 5 times, and it was completely different every time I did it. So I'll be just as surprised as you guys to see what we actually end up with. So let's see how that goes. We're starting Romans chapter 9. That's where we are today. Romans chapter 9. And looking through Romans chapter 9, I was looking for anything that would inspire me to get a good lesson out of this. And there were 2 verses that I came across that really struck me that we're going to talk about today. So we're starting verse 20. So when y'all get there, Romans chapter 9, we're going to do verse 20 and 21. All right. It says, "On the contrary, who are you, O man, to answer back to God? The thing molded does not say to the molder, 'Why did you make me like this?' Will it? Or does not the potter have a right over the clay to make from the same lump one vessel for honorable use and another for common use?" So in starting out, I'm going to pose a pretty obvious rhetorical question to you guys. Just think it's a good way to start. So, show of hands, does anybody have any form of character flaw, spiritual shortcoming, or weakness of any kind? Anything?
All of the above.
I think there's probably pretty good consensus that yes, of course we have weaknesses, we have shortcomings. And I will take this moment to go ahead and point out a couple of mine. I will just do that for you guys. For those of you who know me, are probably going to think this is pretty much right on. We got 3 for you. The first one that I thought of is that I have the tendency to get really excited about something for about 2, maybe 3 weeks, and that's it. I've been going to the gym like a legend for about a month and a half, so I'm probably going to stop in a minute. I just know that about myself. I used to go to the gym with Bennett, and I started, we went like 3 weeks, we were like super excited about it, and of course I'm like not wanting to do it anymore because that's what I do, and he's like, come on man, like it takes him like a year and a half to get worn out with something. So, same thing, but just over a big scale. So I do that, I get really interested in something, and that goes over into my spiritual life too. I'll get like super excited for like a week, and then the next week not so much. So I'm not very consistent is a big problem that I've got. So next one I can think of is I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I am actually very socially reserved as I'm telling you this. Being homeschooled and everything, I don't really like to go out and try to like meet new people and like talk to people I don't know. At work, part of my job is kind of sales, as I do insurance. A little bit of what I do is I have to make sales calls and stuff every now and again. And pretty much anybody else in the office, you could walk up to them, hand them a number, and be like, all right, call this person, they need some insurance. And they'd be like, all right, sure, and call them. Like that doesn't bother them at all. For me, I'm like, well, who are they? Well, how do you get this number? Like, is this the best time to call? Like, anything I can say maybe to get out of doing it? Like, I don't know, I just putting myself out there and talking to people about sales and stuff, not really me at all. So it translates to, in the church, it's hard for me to sit somebody down and try to talk to them about spiritual things, someone that I don't really know that well, uncomfortable situations. Not good at that, definitely a weakness of mine. And the last one that I can think of that's a biggie, I'm sure there's plenty more, but this is what I can think of right on the spot, is I have a great taste for expensive things. My notes is on an iPad. You didn't know that about me, did you? Yeah, it's bad. The iPad was free though, just to point that out. So, any credit given there? Not really. But it's also getting stuck sometimes. Put that down. So that's a couple things that I have, and these things that I have in my life make certain things difficult. As a Christian, I can't just go spend money uselessly. I can't go out and just like blow a whole bunch of money on stupid things. I kind of have Rachel to try to help me with that a little bit, but then I just get on Amazon and just no. Not most of the time. So I have a hard time with that, and I have a hard time keeping myself really consistent and working at things for long periods of time. And I really just have a hard time just sitting down and evangelizing to somebody, just going out and just taking the leap and talking to somebody. So I have these weaknesses, and for me, it seems like it would have been better if I would have been put in a situation where I didn't have these weaknesses. It would have been better if when I grew up that maybe my parents would raise me a little differently, didn't just give us anything that we pretty much asked for at any point. Josh, we could pretty much get anything. And that kind of got me in the mindset of, well, if there's something nice, I can just go ahead and get it, right? So that's kind of how I got into the whole liking nice things and have a problem with that. It would have been better if I would have not been able to tell them all about how much I hated school and get her to let me be homeschooled. Maybe if I would have stayed in public schools or something, I would have been a little better on the whole social thing. Probably not. Okay, well, at least had some kind of social contact maybe. I had one friend for 4 years. Patrick Leahy was the only person I pretty much talked to, except for my family, for 4 years. So that kind of did a dent. I don't know if you guys remember, when I first went to Crossroads, I was very weird. Rachel didn't like me at all. She was totally creeped out by me because I had no social skills whatsoever. It was bad. I wasn't even cute. I wish I was. I put gel in it and stuff.
Did you notice how weird he is?
It was bad. But I tried to get, I'm trying to get over that. But I still feel like the reluctance to go out and talk to new people that I know is a product directly of that. So for me, I think I would question God, why was I put in the position that I was to have these weaknesses? I could have so easily, things maybe could have turned out differently. My personality could have been different. Something could have changed to make me not have these issues that I have to deal with. But as we read in Romans, we don't have, as the one created, of course we have no authority to question God. Why are you making me the certain way that you are? But beyond that, thought about it a little bit, and given that God, for myself, if I'm going to be put in a situation, just any given situation, it's kind of hard for me to even say, well, how would I react in that situation? Like, what would I do? And then from there, what would the consequences of those choices be? Like, what would be the implications of my choices? So for me, it's hard to even say what I would do, not much less what would happen if I did make these choices. God not only knows exactly what choices I'm going to make in any given situation, He also knows every possible consequence of that choice. He knows everything about my personality, how I could be a certain way for what would be good for the kingdom, what wouldn't. So, of course, it's not for me, from my limited perspective, to be able to say, God, why did you make me the way that you did? I could have been different, things could have been better. But I mean, I don't know. There's overcoming certain weaknesses, having to deal with certain weaknesses. If you come across someone in life who has these same issues, it can be a great comfort to them to know that someone else is also working through these things. It could be any number of possible situations that it would have been good that I had to work through these problems. So we don't have any way to, or reason rather, to question God for the weaknesses that we have. But we also have strengths. We also have certain characteristics in each of us that is beneficial to the church. And these different strengths and weaknesses, of course, everybody's different. Everybody's got different strengths and weaknesses, and that's going to translate to different functions in the church. If you guys want to jump to Romans chapter 12 real quick. In Romans chapter 12, verses 4 and 5, it says this: "For just as we have many members in one body, and all the members do not have the same function, so we who are many are the one body in Christ, and individually members of one another." We all have different functions. We all do different things. Not all of us preach as much as everybody else does. Not all of us go out and evangelize as much as everybody else does. Not all of us pray as much as everybody else does. Of course, we all have different functions, but yet all of it is important. God knows exactly what is needed in the church. He knows exactly who is needed in the church and what their personalities need to be like to make things work. Personally, for me, when I think of doing things for the church, like being productive, like if I'm going to be very spiritual and I'm going to do a great job and I'm going to serve my Creator very well, pretty much the main thing that comes to mind for me is evangelism, preaching to people who are not Christians. That's it. Like, that's, to me, what you do as a Christian. Now, I realize that's not true, but for some reason that is like ingrained in my mind that that's it, that's what we do as Christians, and that's the extent of it. Now, if that were the only thing, if evangelizing and creating new converts was the only thing that we were supposed to do as a church, kind of take a moment to imagine what a church like that would be like. If we didn't have anybody who prayed, if we didn't have anybody who encouraged one another, we're actually just going out and just trying to preach, convert somebody good, you're now converted, we're going to move on to the next. If all we did was try to reach new people and convert new people, if that was it, it wouldn't be a very good church. It'd be essentially, basically just some ideal that somebody tries to put forward, and if somebody accepts it, awesome. If not, that's it. But there's no church. There's no unity in that. We can't just have one function. It's not just evangelism that's important. There's a whole list of other things that we need to be doing and that we need to work on. And we all do these different things in varying amounts and varying ways. And God is totally in control of that. I mean, I know we've got this big thing we're talking about, going to Liberty and seeing what work we can do there. We could just be God could have planned the whole thing for us to be in this position just to help that church. And maybe even if things don't work out, if there was one person that we could even encourage and they stay a Christian because of our efforts, I mean, it's completely and absolutely worth it. So God understands how things are going to work out. He knows exactly how things are going to go and what we need to be doing in the meantime to make that happen. So as much as I feel like it's just, evangelism, go out and do that one thing and that's it, and that's a weakness of mine, so therefore I feel like I'm not doing good enough, like I'm not accomplishing what I should as a Christian. It seems like that's not the way to think, and I need to get beyond that. So if any of you guys feel that way, realize that that's not the way it works. And the church as a whole, each of us having our different functions, collectively makes one good unit. As a finance major, I like to think of things in terms of finance. So if you were an investment manager, right? You've got to invest in different things and you want to make money. That's your goal, is for your portfolio to be slowly climbing, be bringing in money, and be consistent. That's your game plan. That's what you want to do. What would you think you would do? Would you just take one stock that looks, it looks good, I think it's going to go well, let's go ahead and put everything into that. Is that a good plan? Is anybody on board with that?
No.
Not going to work out. As an investment manager, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a diversified portfolio, okay? You're going to want to have stocks that not only you think they're all going to go well, but you want stocks that respond in opposite ways. You want a stock that if one stock goes down, you want to have a stock that's completely opposite that's going to go up. So maybe you got like a casino or something that does really, if the economy is awesome, then this casino is going to be rocking out, they're going to make all this money and you're going to get a good return on your investment. But you also want to then turn around and invest in like Big Lots or something, so if the economy's not doing so good, then people are going to be trying to cut money, they'll go to Big Lots instead of casino. You kind of see how that works? They kind of go opposite of each other. So the point is, when you have all of these different things together, when you have all these different investments and everything together, the one portfolio doesn't get messed up when things change. If one stock does bad, then there's going to be a couple other ones that will pick up the difference. And the same is true in the church. If one person is struggling and having a hard time, we need to have someone else in there who has good encouragement that can come in and step in. There's so many different things, there's so many different roles that we need to play in church that it's a good thing that we don't all have the same strengths and weaknesses. But we need to remember all the different things that we can be doing, that it's not just that we need to preach to new people, it's we need to encourage, we need to pray. I have really come to appreciate prayer a whole lot more in the past month or so. I don't know why I would ever not pray all the time. Like, it's perfectly easy. Like, I don't have to be afraid that God is going to, like, reject me or something. Like, if I go to try to witness somebody, they could say no, right? God's not going to, like, strike you with lightning for deciding to pray to Him. That's not going to happen. I don't have to worry about it. But yet, it's so powerful. Like, something so simple as prayer is so powerful. Just encouraging. Mike Felton is one of the most encouraging people that I know. I'm not around him as much anymore, unfortunately, but that guy has encouraged me so much. It's just incredible. And I mean, if you've got a particular strength, if Mike Felton, if you are an encouraging person, and you can help the whole church with that, then use that. That's I mean, if that's what you want to focus on and you want to work with that, then by all means, it's an encouragement when you do so. So the point of what I'm trying to get to everything is that we have to work together. We have to do all the different things that the church needs to do, but we can do them together. And don't get sucked in like I have into thinking that any particular function of the church is the only thing that we need to do. And to summarize everything, please turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 12. There is a little section that pretty much says everything that I wanted to say a lot better than I just did. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. We're going to start in verse 14. So pay attention to this because this summarizes everything I said better than I did, and you can go back and look at this later. Verse 14. For the body is not one member, but many. If the foot says, because I am not a hand, I am not part of the body, it is not for this reason. Okay, I can't read this. Can somebody else read? I'm like moving and I can't see it. Just start at 14 and run with it. I can't even see it.
Yeah, I got you. For the body does not consist of one member, but of many. If the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing? If the whole body were an ear, where would be the sense of smell? But as it is, God arranged the members in the body, each one of them, as He chose. If all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, yet one body.
Go through 27.
If the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need for you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need for you. On the contrary, the parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. And on those parts of the body that we think less honorable, we bestow the greater honor, and our unpresentable parts are treated with greater modesty, which our more presentable parts do not require. But God has so composed the body, giving greater honor to the part that lacked it, that there may be no division in the body, but that the members may have the same care for one another. If one member suffers, all suffer together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together. Now you are the body of Christ, and individually members of it.
It's incredible to me to know that we are this kingdom that was started on Pentecost, this kingdom that we're a part of was planned since the beginning of time, and now each individual person in here is a part of this body. We together make up this body and perform the functions that God wants us to perform, and we can get so much done through that. That's really incredible to me. Let's go ahead and pray. God, I thank you so much that we can be a part of this kingdom. We can see through history everything that happened to prepare this kingdom to be here, God. It's just so amazing to me that now finally everything is come together, and that even 2,000 years after Christ came, we are still here, a part of the kingdom, and we're still doing your work, the work that you gave us to do, God. We can all together as one church throughout the entire world can perform the task that you wanted us to do, God. That's so amazing to me, and I never want to lose sight of that. Thank you very much.